Hey, we finna get into my nigga Pac again, and we finna get into the situation between him and Nas. This is my homie from motherfucking the group that made Black Superman, Above the Law. That's what it is. And this nigga's name is Code 187. So we finna see what the fuck he talking about.
Okay, now Tupac gets out of jail.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the thoughts when you see the whole East Coast, West Coast, or Tupac and Biggie situation going on?
It's crazy because now that's another thing that flipped real crazy because we didn't have a lot of that, prior to that. You got to realize, like, we kind of were on, like East Coast needed the West Coast needed the East Coast at that point. When that kind of happened, it was it was a personal situation, Pac, Pac said, hey, we not with Biggie, and that before he went to jail, we was cool. You know what I mean? We all was cool. We all hung out. We in New York or, whatever. We was all cool. I got proposition to work on life after death. That's how tight we was. Shit go down. Pac get shot. All the whole process. He go to jail. He come home. We not with him. See, because even though the thing I think that's cool was Pac was always still close to everybody that was close to him. Like, for instance, if we was at Ruthless and he was at Death Row, he didn't give a fuck about none of that. We was his friends. You feel me? He didn't care about that. He was like, man, but when it came down to it, honestly, when the East Coast, West Coast happened, it was more so he directly said it, man, we not with him. We not with them. See, that's what people get up. We was with all kind of East Coast. He just said he wasn't with them. You know what I mean? A select few people he was not with, and he let it be known. Like at that party that night, when him and Nas had words, he let him know. He not with him.
At the park?
Yeah.
You were there?
I was there.
Okay.
Absolutely. Right there.
Anyway, before we even get into that, I really want to say this. We've been finding a few interviews where niggas is really speaking on Pac, and everybody really say the same shit about Tupac. He was a stand-up nigga, and he always stuck with his niggas. What y'all gotta realize also is, I don't know if a few of y'all might not know this, people might do know this, he was signed to Eazy-E. That's why he spoke on Ruthless. So him being signed to Eazy-E while Suge and them is beefing, he basically saying Pac ain't get no fuck about that shit, which you understood because when Pac got to Death Row, you noticed the whole Eazy-E situation kind of faded out anyway. And Pac and Eazy was tight, so I could never see him dissing him. He dissed everybody, probably but Eazy. He almost got into a motherfucking Bone Thugs.
And Pac told him, he said, look, if it's an issue.
So take me through, from the very beginning. So you're out there for the awards.
Right.
And you're rolling with Death Row?
No, I was actually negotiating a deal with Tommy Boy at the time. I was closing my deal. And we had tickets to go to the MTV Awards. So okay. I go to the MTV Awards, me and Ian Steeman. Shout out to Ian Steeman. We go to the awards. The shit go down. We go to the after party. First person I see after the little ruckus went on at the award, first person I see at the after party is Suge. Suge come up. He said, "What's up, homie? Like, what you doing out there?" I said, "On some business." He was like, "Man, come hang out with us. Pac, we finna link up and hang out." So I go by the buffet. We go all by the buffet. We over there chilling, talking, chopping it up, seeing a couple of the homies. We chopping it up, right? All of a sudden, somebody say Nas is in the house. Pac put his plate down. So I need to holler at this. Went right over there. Was like, hey, man, look, I ain't with Biggie. I ain't with Jay-Z. I ain't with these. And if you got a problem with it, I ain't with you, basically. And then Nas was like, man, I ain't got no problem with you, Pac. It's all good. He said, okay, we gonna leave it like that. Straight on some, because if Nas would have wanted, because we was outside. So if Nas was gonna bring it, we was gonna have to bring it.
Right, I heard that both sides were pretty deep.
Oh, we was deep.
Napoleon had a lot of his New Jersey guys.
We was deep.
There.
Oh, we were deep. Trust me. But we was outside in their city.
Right.
So we didn't know who was who. Even me and Snoop, we talked about this one time. I was like, yeah, man, was you tripping? And I said, yeah, because we was outside. You know what I mean? Like Nas was the bigger dude, though, in it. Nas was the bigger.
I wonder if this is how Snoop Dogg got a piece of this story, because Snoop Dogg know details about this story and wasn't even fucking there. I'm glad he bringing his name up, so that might be why the nigga Snoop Dogg even know the story. But I love Tupac, nigga. It's the fact that he just gonna stand on business at all times. He not gonna be fake about it. He ain't gonna play about it. And like I said, he didn't get into it with everybody in the NWA except Easy and Ren and Yella. Cause he went off on motherfucking Dre, he went off on motherfucking Cube, and niggas be acting like they don't know that part.
He was like, man, I ain't, you know what I'm saying? I ain't got no problems with you. He kept it moving.
Now, you know, they say that Tupac told Nas that I dissed you on a song.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take that off when I get back.
Yeah, because he asked him, he was like, oh man, I thought it was cool. He said, man, I ain't cool with none of you. I dissed this person. He did a roll call. He said, if you got a problem with that, he said, all right then. We cool then. Because Nas was like, I ain't got no problem with you, Pop. You know what I'm saying? And at the time, you got to realize, like, what I say about it, when I was there, I was like, yeah, you know, people say certain little slick. I was there, but Nas was huge at the time. So why would he want to with him at the level that he was at? You know what I mean? Nas was huge. But Pac was on a mission that night. Pac was on a cold mission that night. I was there. Yes, sir.
So he said, I'm dissing. Do you remember the names that he mentioned when he said I'm dissing?
He said it just like this. I diss you. I diss that bitch ass Jay-Z and that fat ass punk Biggie. You got a problem with that? I ain't got no problem with you, Pac. That's it.
That was it.
Said, all right then. Whoop-de-whoop-de-wop. I don't know it verbatim, but I know that part for sure. I was right there.
Who all else was there? Was Suge was right there?
Suge, bunch of the homies from Mob. Snoop was like in the background, kind of like me and Snoop was kind of like, we was like pushing into think of Snoop had just came to the party. He came in and was like, damn, what the f going on? Because it jumped off right when he walked in, you know. So I can't, you know, the police, all them outlaws, the younger ones was there, like the younger rowdy ones, you know, the ones that be ready to go all the time was there, you know.
I heard that they were going to meet up like a week later or something.
With Nas?
With Nas, like in Vegas or something, I think somebody mentioned.
Probably, I mean, like I said, Nas was on some peak at that point. He wasn't tripping. He was like, I ain't tripping with you, man. I ain't got no problem with you. Because Pac was on a rampage like, whoever got a problem with me, I'm dissing you. You know what I mean? He didn't have a problem with it. You know, because he was fed up with like Puffy. He was fed up with all them dudes. That night he was on a mission. You know, Jay and them was there, but he was like, yeah. Because when I seen him earlier, he came up to our, well, you know how they had a break, for the award shows, the commercial breaks. He came up and he was like, man, what's up, man? I heard Jay-Z was up in. I said, yeah. I was like, they was in the section that we was in, but it was a break, so people left the seats. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they probably left for the break, homie. Like, but they was here. He was like, yeah, I want to get at that. Like, he was on a rampage that night.
You know, that's crazy. I interviewed Dame Dash about this, and Dame Dash said that they were looking for Tupac that night to try to talk to him about the disses that were supposed to be.
They might have been because at the after party, you know, at the after party, you know, it's all game. You can't be up moving around like that doing the award shows because they filming. So, so at the after party, I wouldn't doubt it. I would not doubt all of that because all that was going on that night. You know, no, he had an issue with them. Honestly, Cam, I don't know why he be doing Bunny and Clyde and all that. He wasn't with them. He wasn't with none of them, man. Ain't nobody gonna tell you. I'm a walking encyclopedia, homie. I was there. He wasn't with none of them. He's my friend. He wasn't with none of them, homie. I'm telling you. He was about to smash them dudes. Something real bad. Whoever wanted it.
Any motherfucking way. I want to say this. I'm glad he actually gave more light on the conversation. Because a lot of people be acting like they don't remember what the fuck Pac said for real. And he actually gave detail for detail what the fuck he remember from that night of him Pac saying to Nas and Nas responding back. Like, it really sound the same as far as what everybody else say happened. And this make a lot of sense as to why Snoop Dogg said what he said. Because Snoop Dogg really repeating what the fuck he said. But Snoop Dogg, like he just said the honest thing. He didn't know who was with who. And a lot of people said that because different sides didn't know who was around with who. Because, like they said, Napoleon had people from New Jersey. So Tupac had people from New York, people from New Jersey with him, and people from LA with him. It wasn't just him by his fucking self. So that's why I ain't like the fact that Nas' brother coming out and making it seem like they just had this nigga swarm.
You know?
So Tupac was on a rampage that night. Okay.
Absolutely.
Is there anybody else that he confronted that you can remember?
Nah, because I only met up with them at the party. I don't know what happened after that. Like the whole ordeal when him and Snoop falling out. I don't know about that part. I heard about it, but I didn't get really no real detail. And the crazy part about it, I was supposed to go to Vegas with them for the fight. Because he was like, Tyson want to meet you, and he love a brother Law, man. You got to hang out with me. Because we hadn't hung out in a long time. I hadn't seen him in a bit. And he was like, yeah, you got to hang out with me, homie. Like, this, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, you know, we used to kick it. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's what Pac was telling me. He was like, man, you should just fly out. You know what I'm saying? Call Suge. And then, you know, we'll link up the tickets for you and everything. And, you know, but I got trapped in New York. So I didn't get back to Cali until Sunday morning.
Oh,
yeah, my flight I was gonna fly back to LA, then shoot up to Vegas. But I got delayed in New York for an extra day and couldn't. So I just flew back to LA late that evening from New York, and didn't get back to Cali until like damn near the fight was going on. And Mun called me first about the shoot, about him being shot. You know, he's like, where you at? You in Vegas? I was like, nah, I ain't in Vegas. I didn't make it. Money B. Then I called Big Psych and like, yeah, that's real. Then my manager called me, said, they dead. I was like, nah, I don't think so. I think in the hospital. I just talked to him. I just talked to Mun, and I talked to Mun, and I talked to Psych, Big Psych, rest in peace. You know. But yeah, I would have been right there with him. You know what I mean? Pac was my guy. So, you know, I don't speak on it. I don't speak on a lot of Cam, but, you know what I mean? I was there. You know, no disrespect to nobody, homie, or none of that. But I was there. You know, them dudes wouldn't have been left breathing, homie. Like, what he was about to do to them, they wouldn't have the careers they have. I'm just being 100. You know what I mean? He was finna dismantle them dudes. You know, for real. And Pac was a crazy intersex symbol. So he had the bitches and the gangsters. You know what I mean?
What's up? This is...
Yo, y'all let me know what the fuck y'all think. I don't really got too much to say about this. I just like detail for detail how he came, and I like the fact that he added on more light to the situation. But I feel like everybody should know he never fucked with Jay-Z, and they never had a chance to squash their issues. And I never understood why he be following behind a lot of shit that Pac do, and even taking Pac lines. I understood doing it with Biggie. But it's different with Pac. Understand what worth is. These niggas lurking, observing, was about to respond back, but he got killed with it. But y'all let me know what the fuck y'all think.
These niggas bound to attack. Gotta know your purpose. Understand what worth is. These niggas is lurking, observing, trying to close your curtains. These hoes be perping. OG told me, boy, watch your